All right, we want to welcome everybody to our presentation this evening. We're really excited about what we have to share, and we hope that it can be a blessing for you as well. And I'd like to mention before we begin that you be sure to have a piece of paper or something to write on, because you may want to jot down some notes or thoughts, some of the websites or things we share. But also, if you have any questions you want to ask at the end, we want you to remember what those are, so you can jot them down to ask our guest, Dr. Hyde. We're really glad that Dr. Bruce Hyde is with us tonight, and he is a medical doctor with a practice in Michigan. So he has some great things to share. He wants me to kind of tell them the basics of our topic, but then he'll get in and share different things as we go along and answer questions at the end. So first of all, Dr. Hyde, can you just briefly tell us kind of the difference between supplements and nutrigenomics?
Well, like if you have a specific deficit, then the idea of a supplement is to replenish what you're missing. But so we would call that a deficiency, like a vitamin B12 deficiency or a vitamin D deficiency. So the supplement is replacing something that you're missing or something that your level is too low in. But a lot of supplements are actually targeted at treating symptoms, much like medications. And a lot of times people will have 10 or 20 or 30 different bottles that they experiment with. And the nutrigenomic supplement is very, very different. It's actually an activation supplement. So it's actually working to activate something already present in the body. So it's not meeting any deficiency, and it's not actually even targeting any symptoms. So the nutrigenomic is a supplement technology that's very well scientifically validated and established, that uses a natural combination of products to target a genetic response, as you'll be presenting. And to be honest with you, I think it doesn't get more foundational than that, except for to trust God. Okay. And I think you'll even address that in your presentation.
Yeah.
And of course, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. So trusting God makes a lot of sense because he knows every detail of our body. But yeah, the nutrigenomic is very foundational. And as we work at a foundation level, there's a lot of surface benefits that reduces a range of symptoms, which actually negates the need to have a symptom-targeted supplement program by and large.
All right, thank you. Yeah, and a lot of times with regular supplements, we're guessing what our body might need. And then with the nutrigenomic, the body itself is able to tell what it needs more of. I was kind of introduced to this concept over the last several years because my wife had a bout with cancer several years ago. And this little thing came up on my Facebook page the other day, reminded me about where she was 6 years ago. She was in a natural remedy wellness program at Eden Valley in Colorado after her first cancer surgery. And we believe God used that to extend her life for a couple of years, that medicine couldn't really help her. But when it came back at a stage 4, metastasized throughout the body, she basically had zero survivability left, and chemo and radiation were not an option. And it was at that time, after that, our pastor and elders came to our home and had an anointing for her. And our pastor shared this quote with us. He said, "Those who seek healing by prayer should not neglect to make use of the remedial agencies within their reach. It is not a denial of faith to use such remedies as God has provided to alleviate pain and to aid nature in her work of restoration." And Terry had already tried the natural remedies the first time, and we believe it was useful to a certain extent. But since medicine had nothing more to offer her, and chemo and radiation weren't options, she believed that the only thing she could look for was more natural remedies. Now, we know that God can touch and heal instantly if that's his choice, but he also does provide things in our pathway. So she started doing a lot more research on other possible natural remedies. And it was at that time, this young lady in the middle here, Melody, gave her a call because our son, Joey, on the right in this picture, was classmates with her and her husband, Leighton. And he had asked them to pray for Terry, and Melody's dad had shared with her about this natural remedy. And the cool thing, for those of you that may not know, Melody's dad is Dr. Hyde. So Dr. Hyde had been introduced to this and shared it with his daughter Melody, and she called us. And this was about 3.5 years ago when Terry was battling. She had had another surgery and had metastasized. They could only get like 75% of the cancer, and it was a very aggressive kind that returns quickly. So she shared this with her, and she started to use it. And she had tried a few other supplements and a few other little natural remedies. But as we continued to return to the oncologist for continued treatment and appointments, he kept saying, well, things still look okay, still look okay. And so she started dropping off some of the different things, seeing how she was doing without those, because we couldn't necessarily afford everything. But every time she stopped taking this one, she would tell me, I feel like I'm going down into this darkness and depression, lack of energy. And I would tell her, well, you'd better keep taking that again, whatever it is. I had no idea what it was. I just knew that Melody had called her and shared this with her, and she was taking it. So pretty quickly, it ended up that all she was doing was trying to follow the 8 natural laws of health, with her being careful with her diet and exercise, sunshine, water, sleeping, and trusting God and so forth, and trying not to eat sugar, but also just taking this product called Protandim. And after the end of the year, the oncologist said, well, you're still doing really, really good. Why don't you just follow up with your regular doctor and come back and see me when the cancer returns? So we said, yeah, that's a good idea. So for the next year, she had really no medical help because her doctor retired and another one left town and so forth. So there was really nobody that she was going to. All she was doing was taking this Protandim. But at the end of that year, she started having abdominal pain again. And this was kind of a flashback to what had happened a couple years before. And one morning she woke me up really early and said, you got to take me to the ER. She said, the pain is so bad. So I took her to the ER, and we told the ER doctor her history. And he said, how long has it been since you've had a CAT scan? And we said, well, it's been over a year because, it's very expensive. And she didn't want to keep getting bombarded with radiation and everything if she didn't need to. And he said, well, I would recommend that we have one and find out what's going on. And we said, yeah, it would be a good idea because we knew it was an aggressive cancer that would return. So we wanted to see what was happening. And we were both kind of assuming that it had come back. So they took her off, did the CAT scan, brought her back. And about an hour later, the doctor came in with the results. And he said, well, first of all, he said, there's no sign of cancer in the CAT scan. And I was like, really? I was shocked. I was mentally preparing that it had returned. And he said, no sign of cancer. He said, what I think it is she has a painful intestinal flu. And I was like, cool, and she can get over that. So he gave her a prescription, sent her home. And it was at that point that I was like, what is this Protandim? That's what kind of woke me up to wanting to know what this product was that God had brought into her life and had done this for her. And anyway, Dr. Hyde, why don't you share just briefly before I go on about what all this is, about her experience there?
Okay. Well, of course, we're excited when people are realizing wellness. And the temptation is to think, oh, Protandim actually cured my disease. And it's very important that we understand how healing happens. Healing is something that God does and something your body does. It's not something a supplement does. Okay? A supplement doesn't have a brain. It can't think. You know, it can't problem solve. But natural products belong in your body. And when you put something in your body that belongs in your body, the body has more tools to work with to actually do what it's designed to do. And wellness products help the body do wellness actions. So when you have a wellness action in process and you have a wellness outcome, that means that you have, sorry, that means that you have less and less morbidity or disease. And as you have less and less disease, you have more and more health. And one day you realize, hey, my disease went away. That's because wellness triumphed, okay, not the disease. We live in a world today where everything is a disease model, and we're going to manage your disease, and you're going to have this disease for the rest of your life, and we're going to treat you with these drugs for the rest of your life. And really, that mindset doesn't help you think that there's any hope to get well. But the amazing thing is that we are designed to get well. We're designed to heal. In fact, the very symptoms of disease is your body trying to get your attention and asking you to do the right thing so that the body doesn't have to keep complaining. The body wants to actually return back to a state of wellness or well-being. So again, we're very thrilled when people get well. And we believe that these products are actually very foundational in that objective. Working with how we're made, helping to facilitate how the body works to promote wellness.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And what I'm going to share now is the research that I found when I started to research into what Protandim is and what it does. So basically, it takes us back to a concept called oxidative stress. And we've all seen fruit that oxidizes when it sits out until it's rotten, or we see metal that oxidizes and rusts. But we don't really think about that oxidation happening inside our bodies. But there are these little things called free radicals that are bombarding our cells and causing oxidative stress at the cellular level. And of course, when that happens, then like Dr. Hyde mentioned, you know, diseases can result from that. So some of the things where we get those free radicals that cause oxidative stress. We live in a very polluted world, a lot of pollution, a lot of, you know, things from wireless or microwaves or chemicals in the grass or chemicals in the food we eat, the GMOs, just all kinds of things are bombarding us. And the statistics are that, you know, about 100 years ago, only about 1 in 33 people would get cancer. But now it's about 1 in every 2 or 3. And it seems like we all know somebody who has cancer, a loved one. And I remember growing up, it was like extremely rare to know somebody with cancer, but we're living in a very toxic world nowadays. So one thing I was kind of surprised is that there are over 200 diseases related to oxidative stress. So in every part of our body, there are diseases that are from accumulation of oxidative stress. I work for an eye surgeon, and he mentioned to me about, you know, the diseases of the eye, macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts, are caused by oxidative stress. And I was like, yeah, I've read that, but it was really incredible for him to be, you know, telling me that. But people have been fighting oxidative stress with antioxidative things for many years, and those are called antioxidants. And we hear and see about all kinds of things with antioxidants. You know, chocolate's high in antioxidants, or there's juices that are really good antioxidant juices, or there's antioxidant pills. Research is showing that antioxidant supplement pills are actually pro-oxidation. They're actually causing people with oxidative stress to have a higher level, which is very interesting to me in reading that. And you can go online and look that up. But yeah, so they're doing the opposite of what they're trying to do. Even like our bag of cat food has antioxidants, help support a long, healthy life. So they're everywhere. We've all heard of blueberries and other things, fruits being really high in antioxidants. And a cup of blueberries has about 10,000 antioxidants in it. The rule of thumb is that an antioxidant will wipe out one of those free radicals. So if you have a cup of blueberries with 10,000 antioxidants, it's going to wipe out 10,000 free radicals. And that's great, except that there are 300 sextillion free radicals in our body every day. And we all have heard that we have trillions of cells in our body. So the estimate is around 3 trillion cells. So this number means that every cell in our body has about 1 trillion free radicals a day that it has to combat. And so if you were trying to combat this many free radicals with blueberries, that would be about $3 million worth a day, which is more than we could eat or more than we could afford. So we can't win the battle with blueberries. They're great for nutrition, but they're not going to wipe out all those free radicals. So fortunately, we would all be dead if we had to eat that many, but God has put antioxidant enzymes in our cells that are able to eradicate 1 million free radicals per cell per second. And that has a chance then to work on those trillions free radicals per cell every day that we have. But unfortunately, the body produces fewer and fewer of those enzymes as we age. You know, the first 20 years or so of our life, we have plenty, but then it starts to diminish. One of those enzymes was discovered back in 1969. It's called superoxide dismutase. And there were 2 researchers at Duke University, one of them pictured here, Dr. McCord. They discovered that, and it was realized how critically important superoxide dismutase is to our body, to staying alive, because it's wiping out all those free radicals. And over the years, there was a lot of research done into these enzymes and how they work, and they made efforts to make synthetic superoxide dismutase and to activate it synthetically with drugs. But over the years, in the next 30 years of studying that, it was recognized as such an important value to humanity that these 2 doctors were given the Elliott Cresson Medal in 1997, which is an award that's given out once each year to somebody who's made a major impact on humanity, either through a discovery or an invention. Just really impacts us. People like Alexander Graham Bell, Orville Wright, Henry Ford, Pierre and Marie Curie have won that award in past years. So you can see how important this was seen for humanity. But like I mentioned, over the next 30 years, they did not have any success in finding a way to activate those enzymes. So in the early 2000s, a small health company decided they wanted to see if they could find a natural way to activate those enzymes in the body. So they started doing some research, and along the way they decided, you know, it would probably be a good idea if we got a real expert in the field of antioxidants in the cells. And in fact, they went to Dr. McCord, who was one of the researchers that had found those enzymes in the body. And they asked him if he would join them in researching a natural way to activate those enzymes. And he decided, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, because they hadn't been able to find a good drug to do that. So he worked with them, and they narrowed down the list of herbs and natural products that they would try and test. And individually, all of those products, those herbs, did nothing. So they started doing combinations of different herbs, and they finally found a combination of 5 that did the trick and actually activated superoxide dismutase to a really significant degree. And that ended up becoming what we know of as Protandim. So the 5 herbs that they found that make up Protandim are milk thistle, bacopa, turmeric, ashwagandha, and green tea. And you've probably heard of most of these. And some people say, I even take all 5 of those. But they have to be combined in a specific ratio in order to be effective. So we do mention to people, if you do choose to take Protandim, you should wait at least 4 hours before taking any of these 5 herbs in another form, because they can mess up the ratio. There have been people that took Protandim, but they also had turmeric supplements or ate it on their food, and it overbalanced the turmeric amount and kind of made the whole thing ineffective. This chart here kind of shows what each of these 5 herbs did individually. Control really had no effect on activating superoxide dismutase. Ashwagandha was 0, Bacopa nothing. Green tea slightly negative. Milk thistle was a little bit positive, and turmeric also a little negative. When they combined those 5 together, though, it was an 1,800% increase in the expression of those enzymes, superoxide dismutase. So that specific ratio was what we call as synergy, where it's kind of a chemical explosion reaction or whatever, where the action is greater than the sum of its parts. So that's what makes Protandim effective in helping those genes to function the way they're designed to do. What they found was that it wasn't just going to the cell and telling it to make more superoxide dismutase. It was actually affecting a little protein in the cell called NRF2. And they found, they discovered NRF2 actually in the 1990s, and they found it's the master regulator of the survival genes of the cell. And so it regulates the cell's DNA, and the result then is that by activating the NRF2 in all the cells of the body, that Protandim reduces oxidative stress by 40 to 70% in 30 days. So that's quite an outcome when you consider that regular antioxidant pills are actually increasing oxidative stress. To have something that goes to every cell in the body and turns on those enzymes overall does a major reduction. So this study was published in the Wall Street Journal, and there was an organization called ABC News that saw that study, and they had a primetime investigative report program that did investigations on scams and schemes and snake oil and things that, so they could expose those to the people and let them know how they're being scammed. So when they saw that article in the Wall Street Journal that Protandim could reduce oxidative stress by 40% in just a month, they were very, very skeptical. And they thought, this is too good to be true. So they came to Dr. McCord, who is now at the Antioxidant Laboratories at the University of Colorado, and they did an investigative report with him about Protandim. And that was aired in 2005. And I'm not going to play it here, but if you'd like, I can send you that ABC video link so you can watch that. But it ended up coming out as a very positive outcome, where it showed that the investigators' level of oxidative stress was reduced by 45% in just 2 weeks. He didn't give them a full month, he just did 2 weeks. And his was reduced dramatically. So immediately, there were over $5 million worth of orders for Protandim after that program aired, because everybody wanted this product that could reduce oxidative stress and combat, the ABC video talked about it combating over 200 diseases and all the different things it could possibly be helpful for. But this company could not supply that much product. So it took them about 9 months, and they finally got it in drugstores all across America. And by then, people had forgotten about it. So it was in drugstores for the next 4 or 5 years, but it really did not do very well until eventually, even though the top pharmaceuticals in the country had each offered them millions of dollars for the patent, they ended up turning it over to marketing through direct distributors. And we're grateful they did, because that's how we heard about it. After that program was aired, there were also a lot of universities and organizations that saw that and started doing research on Protandim. And you can recognize a lot of these names here, and there were many more. My favorite, since I live in southeastern Washington, is a study that was done recently by Washington State University in 2015, and they said the health effects of NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. That is quite a profound statement. Now, this study was not just about Protandim, it was about what NRF2 activating can do. And they mentioned Protandim was an NRF2 activator, and it is one of the best natural activators that is available. But when I saw this, I saw how it was therapeutic in helping Terry, but I was also very interested in the preventative side because I didn't feel like I personally had any major diseases that I knew of. But I recognize that a lot of those can sneak up on you, and before you know it, before you realize it, you can have cancer or heart disease or something. And I'm at an age where I don't really want those type of diseases sneaking up on me. So I decided to use it as a preventative. But over the course of the next number of months, as I took it, I noticed different things. So I could see that it was working. But my wife told me that what she noticed that she appreciated the most was that my sleep apnea went away. And I had never even made a connection between oxidative stress and sleep apnea, but when I did a study about it, it did show that there is a connection, and I don't know what happened in my body, but it just kind of gradually diminished. And so to me, that's pretty exciting. Another study, a $50 million study, was done by a major pharmaceutical comparing Protandim with some major drugs and trying to see how it could help multiple sclerosis. And they found that Protandim, the only dietary supplement in this group, was more potent and was the best suited as a therapeutic strategy. So that really was shocking to people. And I shared that with my sister who has MS. And so she started taking it. She sent me this picture and a text from when they were in Jerusalem. And she was saying, I have to tell you, the Protandim has kicked in. My energy is incredible. We're in Jerusalem. I'm beating everyone up the hills. Now, to us, that was pretty astounding because the last time we had seen her, she was, struggling with a cane, and her whole health was really diminishing. So it was pretty exciting to see her. They were there for like 3 weeks, posting day after day, all these pictures of her all over the place. And my brother had to take a day off to rest, but she was still going out and seeing everything. So it was pretty awesome to see her health rejuvenated. You can go to pubmed.gov and see some of the studies that have been published by some of those universities. Also, scholar.google.com is a good place to do some research about Protandim and oxidative stress and NRF2. And sometimes people wonder if certain things are related to oxidative stress. So scholar.google is a really good place to go. It has more of the scientific research rather than just regular Google. So we recommend going there. And for example, I just typed in recently on scholar.google, oxidative stress and diabetes, just to see if it was connected, because we've had some people with diabetes that have been having some really awesome changes in their health. And there were like 1.7 million results. And I was pretty shocked about that. So anyway, you can do some research on your own if you'd like to see some of those connections. Also, we have some Facebook groups if you're into Facebook. One is a biohacking page, another is about Protandim testimonies where people share experiences and ask questions and so forth. So those are good places kind of to learn more, and you can ask us if you want to get connected with that. But back to the NRF2, regulating 500 or more genes. This is the expression of about a small little clip of about 30 or 40 of the genes, the survival genes. And you can notice that some of them are pretty high and some of them are really low expressing. But when NRF2 is regulating as it should, this is the way it is, those genes, those very same genes are supposed to look. So we can see that when the NRF2 isn't working properly, we're getting an overexpression of some of the genes, like the fibrotic scar tissue formation in vital organs. But in other genes, they're underproducing what they need to be. And some of those are like those enzymes that our body needs. And there are various cancer-fighting genes and so forth. And if you're interested, I can send you a little video clip of more explanation about this topic. So Dr. Hyde, I'd like to give you a few minutes to talk about this NRF2 and what you'd like to share with that.
Well, I'd like to just share that I began working with Protandim by the recommendation of a friend of mine from Hawaii, who is a physical therapist. And he said, when I get my patients on Protandim, they respond to the physical therapy so much quicker. He says, I was very skeptical at first, but the more I did research, the more excited I became. And now he's calling me saying, you better look at this. Well, his name is Rusty Cottrell, and he's someone I have known for quite a while. And, you know, his reputation was good. I didn't need to question my referral. And so I was willing to immediately order. And one of my targets was my mother, because she had a lot of soft tissue inflammation really all over her body. And I was busy. I wasn't really paying that much attention, but she was improving until she ran out of Protandim. And after about a month or so, she says, can you order some more of that for me? Because I think I did better when I took it. So I went online and I ordered. It'd been quite a few months since I had ordered. And I got a bottle in, gave it to my mother. And within 2 weeks, she says, it's that Protandim, it's working. I can feel that it's working. So that got my attention. And I started thinking about all the different problems that I encounter clinically where people are dealing with inflammation. And one of my targets was a friend who ran an adult foster care home. And I'm not going to get into all of her story, but she was willing to actually put all of her clients on these products. And the benefits were remarkable. But I want to jump to two particular stories that actually relate to her family. Her grandmother was married to a man who was elderly, but very active. And they seemed to be in good health until one day he was diagnosed with bladder cancer. And they did a scope and they saw this huge mass, and they said, really, this is not operable, but we have a chemotherapy regimen that we recommend. It's very severe, very harsh on your body. You probably won't even be able to handle 4 treatments. And he says, okay, I'll do it. But he didn't tell them at the time, but he says, but I'm also going to take Protandim. Because by this time, the word was out amongst the family. And by the time he was on his 4th chemotherapy treatment, he still was not having any significant side effects from the chemo. Sure. And so they were saying, can we scope you again and look at that bladder? And when they did, they couldn't find a tumor. And what we know is that when people use Protandim, whether or not they're doing the chemo or the radiation, the Protandim works to protect the good cells, while the therapy seems to be more effective in going after the bad cells. We've seen this occur on many occasions. And then I just want to tell one other quick story. Turns out that the owner of this AFC, her mother used to own it, and the grandmother used to own it, so it's in the family. And the mother is really into horses, and they had recently started taking Protandim, and the husband and the wife, they went down to, I think it was Kentucky or Tennessee, on a trip. They had their horses with them, and they stopped at a gas station. At the gas station, someone gave them a brochure, and as they're driving down the road after getting gas, the lady was going through this material, and she said to her husband, this is about Protandim. She says, this is about the very product that we have been taking here for a little while. But she says, it's about using this Protandim for horses. Well, it turns out that she had a horse that was getting pretty old and having issues with being somewhat lame, and all related to inflammation. And she was actually spending a lot of money going to vets and doing all kinds of special types of treatments to try to help the horse recover, and not having really any success. And so when she read this brochure and realized it was the exact same supplement she was taking, she already had a level of belief in Protandim, so she was quickly willing to try this for her horse. And here we are talking about a $40 bottle, and in 1 month that horse was running around like it had no lameness. And she was so excited that she was willing to even allow the horse to be bred. So, yeah. And there's so many stories we could tell, but I am more clinically oriented, so I want to see how technology impacts people's lives. So when I get on this call, I always want to have a different story to tell.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Yeah, there are so many experiences now that we've been sharing it for a year and a half that we have seen with people and animals and so forth, that it's just, we could go on and on, but we do want to share kind of the science behind it and help you understand that a little bit. So Dr. Hyde, how quickly do people see results, and what do you feel? Is it a cure-all for everything? What about detoxing? Can you answer a few of those questions?
Okay. Well, I would say that most people don't necessarily feel anything. Okay. And this is not about treating symptoms. It's about getting to the genetic code to help the body become activated to make these enzymes. And then also its targeted effect on modulating gene expression on these survival genes. And so by a period of time, there will be benefits that you will realize either very obviously or more subtly, kind of like your sleep apnea. There are certain products that we'll be telling you about that seem to have a very rapid onset of action. One of them is called Axio. I would say the skincare also has a very rapid onset of action. There's a product that is a hand cream that I've learned to really like. And whenever I have a sore spot on my skin, I just put it right on, and within minutes, I'm relieved, and I'm not trying to dig at it and scratch, So Protandim, the NRF2 tablet, may not be as quick of an actor, but actually, as soon as you swallow the first pill, the action has begun, because it's a proven fact that it activates this NRF2 pathway. And only when you put it to the test for yourself will you know how quickly you respond to it. But I would say that this group of products, people respond to quite quickly compared to many supplements that I've observed. So that's a positive thing. And I would say that few people actually have side effects, but sometimes there is a correcting response where the body's trying to do a detox process. And usually it's short-lived and not that problematic. Sometimes people will reduce the dose a little bit, or push more fluids, or get more rest, or take more vitamin C. But usually it's not going to take that long to get past it.
Okay, does it cure everything that ails anybody at all?
Well, again, like I said at the very beginning, this doesn't cure anything. It activates the body to do wellness actions. And in that context, it actually always helps, and it always has a positive impact. Because if you reduce your oxidative stress load on the body, you will have benefits every single time. But in terms of saying, will it cure this disease or that disease? No. But will it do wellness actions every single time? Yes.
Okay. And what were you saying about like a doorbell? How does it get every cell to be going? How can one little pill get to every cell in the body?
Okay, well, this product is not based on dose, but it's based on formulation. And that formulation, we call it an activator. And just like it takes one finger to push the doorbell, not a fist or a shoulder, you know. So this dose actually triggers that activation or pushing the doorbell on receptors throughout the whole body. So you swallow it, it gets absorbed into the bloodstream takes it throughout the body. And the action lasts about 12 hours. So if you took 2 of them at one time, activation is activation. So you don't need 2 fingers trying to push a doorbell. So there's really no merit in doubling the dose. But if you actually take a second pill 12 hours later, you can actually double the impact. And sometimes people who are really challenged, we will recommend that. And we see that their benefits come quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what my wife Terry did. She took it twice a day, not 2 at one time, but yeah, spread out. So it would activate the NRF2 and then it would diminish and then do it again. So, all right, well, thank you. And we know, like you mentioned, you don't necessarily, a lot of people don't feel anything, but we also don't feel, the supplements in our body if we're taking vitamins, or we don't notice diseases that are sneaking up on us. And in fact, half of all people with heart disease, the first symptom is sudden death with a heart attack. So they didn't feel it coming. So you don't necessarily feel all the NRF2 in your body. Although we have had people that have really felt changes right away, but sometimes people don't think it's doing anything if they don't feel it. We do want to make this disclaimer. Protandim does not diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, like Dr. Hyde has been saying, but it does reduce oxidation in every cell in every body, and it regulates how our genes express themselves. And we don't want to give any medical advice. We don't want people to take our advice to change prescriptions or whatever without doctor's direction. But as far as supplements you may be choosing to take yourself, a lot of those can be easily reduced if you are taking Protandim. And we also want to give a little warning about fake products on the market. They have found that 50 to 60% of all health products on Amazon and eBay are counterfeit. So we just want to mention that because there's no control over products there. And LifeVantage distributors are not allowed to sell it in those places. So that takes away all of the possible real products that might be there. So it really does make a high possibility of somebody getting a counterfeit. So I just want to mention that because sometimes people feel like they can save a few dollars a bottle if they buy it there, but you just really are taking a risk of getting something fake. And at the least, you might just be wasting your money if you get a fake, but also there can be some harm done with those. So just want to throw that out there. Okay, we mentioned the NRF2 pathway, but there's also, they have discovered an NRF1 pathway, and these two are really work hand in hand in the cells. And they've discovered that the NRF1 pathway has to do with the mitochondria in the cell. And if you remember back to high school biology and having to draw all the little organelles in the cells, the mitochondria, we always knew were the powerhouse of the cell. And Dr. Hyde, do you want to explain a little bit more about the mitochondria?
Well, I think you just said it. The mitochondria is where energy is produced. Like the Krebs cycle happens in the mitochondria, and that's where glucose is turned into energy. We call that ATP and other such energy-carrying molecules. But the body has a mechanism for making energy. We don't need to take energy drinks or stimulants to get energy. We just need to have our mitochondria effectively producing energy. But as we age, our mitochondria levels tend to drop off as well, and their efficiency. And what we know about the Protandim NRF1, the activation of that pathway, it's a different nutrigenomic pathway, but we know that it increases the number and the efficiency of the mitochondria in the cell. So that means you have more you have more intrinsic energy at the level of every cell of your body. Now, interestingly, when you are increasing metabolic rate, you know, if you have more mitochondria, you have more metabolism going on, more energy production, you're also going to have more free radical production. Okay, so that's why the NRF2 is so important, because that's helping clear free radical. And as we increase energy, we have a way to meet that residue that is a natural result. And the thing that I would like to just point out on the Protandim, if you want to go back one slide, the Protandim NRF1, is that it has other benefits as well. Maybe it's not on this slide. Maybe go forward.
I think that was.
Okay. So the NRF1 is known to significantly improve people's sleep. And I will tell you that when you're asleep, that is not an inactive time. That's a very active time for your body to do repair and restoration, and that takes energy. So not only are people getting more energy production with this Protandim NRF1, but they're actually sleeping well. And actually sleep is very important to wellness. To wake up rested, to wake up refreshed, to wake up rejuvenated is also very important to the whole health equation. And there's one other aspect I'd like to just point out about the Protandim NRF1, and that is a word called apoptosis. And apoptosis, yeah, I see it there, down toward the bottom. Apoptosis is the process by which a cell that is dying completes that process and dies. And you want worn out cells to go away. You don't want them sticking around and becoming a nuisance. You're aware of the fact that the body is having cell turnover at a very rapid rate all the time, certain areas of the body faster than others. But apoptosis actually is a concept that parallels the cancer question. You know, the slower apoptosis, the higher the cancer rate. The faster the apoptosis, the lower the cancer rate. So here we have a supplement that is very foundational in getting to the root of something very important in an epidemic problem, as you've described, Gary, of 1 in every 2 or 3 people will be diagnosed with some form of cancer. This prevention strategy should be very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And you can see here that they were able to activate the NRF1 pathway with another set of 5 herbs that work, again, synergistically like the NRF2 did. And I don't know if there's something special about 5 herbs, but they found these 5 would actually activate the NRF1 pathway synergistically to, like Dr. Hyde said, increase the number of mitochondria and strengthen them. So that's really helpful. So we have found that people that use both of these actually do really well and actually see results a lot quicker. We, at first, because of what the NRF2 did for Terry, that was mainly what we were sharing with people, but then we realized the NRF1 is really, really helpful for people as well. So we just encourage people, if they can, to get both. If you can only get one, then the NRF2 by itself would be the best thing to do. But so over the course of the years through study, like I mentioned, that ABC program was produced in 2005, but Louisiana State did studies about applying it to the skin and saw incredible results there. So they realized, yeah, we should do something for the skin, and other studies showed other things. So in the years since, there have been some other applications. So we're going to share briefly about some of those other ways that NRF2 can be activated in your body. And Dr. Hyde had mentioned briefly this Axio drink that actually gets into the bloodstream and into the brain quickly. And Dr. Hyde, do you want to go ahead and share a little bit more about what this can do for the brain?
Well, imagine the neurons of your body the nerve cells being irritated through oxidative stress. That neuro irritation alone could cause irritability or depression or anxiety or panic or headache, or contribute to chronic pain, or contribute to neuropathy, or to contribute to mental health, or contribute to dementia, or even dementia-related behaviors. Honestly, we have used the NRF2 Protandim along with this Axio with profound impact neurologically for people. A dominant part of my medical practice is with the geriatric population, and we've seen remarkable benefits. It's not about age, it's about neuro health, and this is a very exciting product.
And my brother-in-law, his doctor told him he had to stop drinking his highly caffeinated and sugar pop drink that he drank in the afternoons for energy and so forth. And so we shared this with him, and he started drinking the red raspberry kind, which the two on the right are decaffeinated. The three on the left do have some caffeine from the green tea, but he started drinking the red raspberry, and he is so excited because it doesn't have any sugar in it. It's only 15 calories, and it gives him the mental clarity and energy that he needs without having to take that high sugar caffeinated drink. So he's excited about that. But also some other studies have been really interesting. This is taking a screenshot of a Zoom with this neuroscientist. He's the lower picture there, Dr. Jeffrey Fannin, and he does brain mapping as his career. And he took this 15-year-old boy who had high levels of ADD, and he did some brain mapping of this young man. And you see those on the left. And he didn't go into detail on that, but he was saying that's just showing this huge activity in this boy's brain that causes him to, have this attention deficit disorder. And he started him on these three products, NRF1, NRF2, and Axio. And after only 12 days, he did the brain mapping on the right. And he was stunned because he said, people share different supplements and things with him and so forth. But when he saw this, he said, this is working at the cellular level in this kid's brain. And at the same time, the teachers at the school this boy was at, they didn't know what he was doing, that he was doing this test or whatever. But they started commenting to the parents how the boy was starting to be respectful and be, well-mannered and all of this. And they were kind of shocked, at his change in his demeanor. So when this neuroscientist saw these results, he said, I've got to take this for myself, and I've also got to share this with other people. So he decided to become a distributor and share it with people, because he said people have to know about this, because this is something that really works at the cellular level. So this is just one example. We've heard of many stories of children like this, or different people where it's really affected the brain. But it's kind of cool to actually have a brain map to look at. Also, like Dr. Hyde mentioned about the horses, they realized that animals have those NRF2 pathways in their cells, and they could activate those as well. So for small dogs, small animals, this product is great. For big dogs, horses, other large animals, just using regular human Protandim is very effective. And if you want to see some examples, just go to YouTube and type in Protandim and horses, or Protandim and dogs. And there are a lot of videos about that. I had a veterinarian friend that sent me some videos of a little dog that could barely walk. When somebody shared Protandim with him, he thought, you know what, I've got a perfect way to see if this is really something that works. Because with people, you can say, yeah, I feel better, I sleep better, I have more energy, da-da-da-da, and it could just be a placebo effect because you're buying this product. But with a dog, they just eat it. They have no clue about, what it's supposed to do or whatever. And this little dog, after taking it for just a few weeks, was racing all over the place. And he said he was convinced, because he knew that this actually really worked. We had a personal experience like that, and you can see the pictures of this dog here, before and after, and there's just some really incredible experiences if you want to see that. Also, I mentioned Louisiana State did a study about putting it on the skin. Our skin is the largest organ of our body, and it comes into contact with the largest number of pollutants and radiation and all kinds of things. And so they realized, yeah, it would be good to apply the NRF2 technology directly onto the skin. And so they developed some skin products. And these go 4 layers deep, which are a lot better than most skin products. So these are the products that they've developed, and I'm not going to go into these. I could explain them for a little while, but you can see some pictures before and after that people have used some of the skincare things. This guy on the lower right looks like he had a stroke, but actually just applied the skincare products to half of his face, and the other half still had the wrinkles from before. So just kind of showed the difference in what it could do there. Also, they developed some hair care products with the NRF2 activation ingredients in those. And so many hair care products have chemicals, parabens, different things that actually are very harmful. And my wife had been telling me about that, oh, you shouldn't be using that shampoo because it has parabens and things. And I was like, whatever, it's really cheap. I get it down, Walmart or wherever, and just buy the cheapest stuff. But when I started doing this study and realizing that chemicals absorb into the skin within a matter of less than 30 seconds, and we're just, absorbing these chemicals, I decided when they came out with this product that this would be a good thing. And it is incredible. It's a natural, totally natural product. And a lot of people I've talked to that have tried natural shampoos that don't have all those chemicals, they say they just don't work. They're flat, they're just worthless. But this stuff works great. And with the scalp serum, this third product, I've always heard of shampoo and conditioner, of course, those are great. But the scalp serum actually has some other ingredients, and I have some thinning hair. And what it does is it helps cells that actually still have some hair growth life in them. If a cell, a hair follicle is totally dormant, it's not going to necessarily revive that. But if it still has some life in it, it does help it start to rejuvenate and grow better. And my wife has been noting the difference in my hair follicles looking more full. So that's pretty cool. And here's a few pictures of some people that have been on the hair care products. Some people, I know ladies complain about split ends and frizziness and all those kind of things, and I can't really relate because I really never have experienced that, but they're just really excited about it as well. So it's a really awesome product. So Dr. Hyde, you're still there. We have the NRF1 and 2 activation that we have mentioned, but also to kind of cover all the main parts of the health of the body. They have also developed an omega and a probiotic. And Dr. Hyde, maybe you can just chat about that for just a minute about why those are important as well.
Okay. Actually, this is the combination of products that I take along with the Axio. So there are, it's not that one thing is the total answer to all of our needs. It's usually a spectrum of things that the body needs to support better health. And one of those is called essential fatty acids. And when you think of the word fat, you think of too many calories or too much weight. But when you talk about essential fatty acids, you're actually talking about a essential nutrient that your body cannot make, that you have to get from your diet. And these substances the body converts into other substances that help your body work better. Okay, so we have a product here called Omega Plus. The plus means it has added vitamin D. But the omega part is referring to these essential fatty acids. And you will have better life function. We call that physiology. You will have better immune health. You will have better circulation. And you will have better toxin elimination when you have essential fatty acids in your diet. So this is a very important product, and it's very pure. There's no after effect. It's from an animal source, but it's been isolated and purified. So I will recommend it, which is not common for me. And then the last product there is called ProBio. And this is a probiotic that actually is very effective in getting to your small intestine and not being destroyed by the stomach acid in its way to the small intestine. And there to help establish your bowel flora. And the bowel flora are what we call, and the friendly bacteria are actually necessary for optimum digestion and assimilation of nutrition. So this combination seems helpful. This combination seems to be very helpful in establishing a foundational wellness plan for people.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so we, they're all, the NRF1 and NRF2 are definitely revolutionary on their own, but it is very important for people to have the omegas and the probiotics as well. But these are really extremely high quality. And like Dr. Hyde said, the probiotic, most probiotics that people get in the store, only 4% actually make it to the intestine because they're either dead before they get in the mouth or they get digested. So this has a technology where it's got a freeze-dried surface that allows, on an empty stomach, if you take it, about 90% of the probiotics to get to the stomach. And so they're something that is very beneficial for your overall health to have all four of these. So we encourage people to live a healthy lifestyle, not just to depend on a pill or whatever to help them be healthy, but we do live in a very toxic world, and we know a number of really health conscious people that do still have health issues. So these products are able to help us fight those toxins that we come in contact with. This company has a commitment that everything is all natural, non-GMO, no artificial colors, sweeteners, flavors. And other than, I think, the Axio or the Omega, they're all vegan products as well. So no animal products except for the fish oil. So people do ask, what is the cost? And I think about the cost that we went through with the battling Terry's cancer, very expensive, thousands and thousands of dollars. And any of these diseases are going to cost not only thousands of dollars, but a lot of pain and time off work or other issues. So, the cost of a product to avoid it, to me, is really, really worth it. And that's what I've decided to do. But a bottle of Protandim is about $41 a month on an auto ship. And if you get the pair of NRF1 and 2, it's $86 plus shipping and tax, depending on what state you live in, if you have sales tax or not. And the other products you can always look up as well. But after we share this, we usually find that we have three types of people. Those who want to experience these things themselves, but also a lot of times people are thinking of a loved one or somebody that could really use this. And so we're happy to share that with them if you want to help us connect. And also there's sometimes people that want to join us in sharing this because they know a lot of people they would like to share it with and maybe get a little side income to help pay for their own products or whatever. We don't push people to become distributors. If somebody wants to join us, that's awesome. We do share this Zoom meeting. We try to do it every Sunday evening in case you do want to bring somebody. However, I do want to mention that next Sunday, I will not be having the Zoom because my daughter is having a bridal shower that I'm involved with. So I can't be in both places. So next Sunday, I won't have the Zoom. But otherwise, I try to do it every Sunday that I can. And Dr. Hyde is great to join us as much as he possibly can as well. So that's really awesome. We appreciate his contribution. And the reason we share it personally, my wife and I, is because we love helping other people. And for example, this picture on the right is my wife, Terry, who I explained her story at the beginning. And we share it with others, and we end up with people, like I mentioned, a lot of people that we could share about. But this one in particular, Sandy, her life was totally changed by these products through somebody that we shared it with. And I won't go into her story, but very similar to Terry's, except it's also just really, really incredible. But we also want to build a team, because if I were to share it with like 10 people a month, then all I can share it with is like 120 people in a year. But if I have 10 people joining me to share it, we could share it with 1,200 people in a year. So that's why I like to have people join us to share it. Not that I'm pushing anyone to join, but it's just really great to have other people. And also on the business side, it can help pay for products, pay off medical bills, give a chance to work from home. We went on this mission trip several years ago in this picture here, and we'd love to do a lot more of that. So those are other, on the other side. But when we share with people, it's just a networking thing that we do all the time. For example, when people ask me what Chinese restaurant I like in town, I tell them my favorite is Ming Court. And so they end up going to Ming Court, and they share that with other people that go to Ming Court. But Ming Court never gives us a discount for telling people about it. So, in this case, when we share, we do get a little residual off of that, and that's cool. It's good when you are going to join a company that you join before the company is totally saturated the market. And so, like in this little town of 50,000 people that we live in, this valley, nobody has really heard of it before. So it's a great time to be sharing it with people in our area, because it's a new product. NRF2 is definitely the direction that people are going to be finding out as it progresses. And then as far as compensation, as people grow in the company, it can take several years, but you can accumulate if you keep at it into getting a really decent monthly income if you continue to grow. And the way you can become a distributor, if you want to, is just to buy a set of products. When we go to Walmart and have a shopping cart full of products, if we were to buy that, and then if we told other people about Walmart and where to get these products, and if we were to start getting an income off of that, that would be pretty amazing, but we don't. But in this case, basically, you're just buying a variety of the products, and you get to use them yourself and find out how they work and so forth. But then you're also able then to be a distributor and earn money. The cool thing this month, during the month of June, they're giving the starter kit for free if somebody decides to become a distributor. So that's kind of a cool thing. So getting on to how you can get these products if you decided you wanted to, is you just go to our link. We don't carry the products and have them in a cupboard or anything. It's just a website you go to, and you just type in thehaggies.lifevantage.com, or whatever link, if somebody else invited you to this, or a different distributor, just type in their link, and make sure the name and picture come up there on the upper left, so you make sure it's that person's web link. And then you just click on the shop, and it will bring up the different products. You can kind of go through, it'll have more information about the different ones and the price and so forth, and you can decide what you want to get. And then it's same as ordering anything off the web. You put it in your little shopping cart and check out. If you'd like to join us as a distributor, you can click on the Join Us side. We usually like to talk to people about that before they do that, so we can kind of discuss how it goes and what they need to know and so forth. But these are the ways you can do those types of things. So we really appreciate your joining us. Basically, we just kind of flew through this information really quickly. If you'd like any more information, please contact us. Let me just put on the information here. You can send us an email, joemkeh@gmail.com, or call us 509-876-4348, or talk to a distributor that may have shared this with you as well. So at this time, we're going to end the main recording and give people that are here a chance to ask any questions you might like to ask. So thanks for joining us.